The new moon in Taurus is coming up, and as a Taurus moon, I'm taking it pretty seriously. So I don't know about you guys, but the Taurus energy over the last few months has been super highlighted, especially for anybody with Taurus or fixed placements. So if you have any Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, all of those placements are really getting highlighted right now because of the nodes. So this new moon is actually the beginning of an eclipse season. And for anyone who doesn't know, eclipses happen when the new or full moon is in the sign of the nodes. So we have the North Node in Taurus right now, and we have the new moon in Taurus. So with both of those things happening, coinciding each other, we have an eclipse. And what this means is that the new moon energy is even more amplified. That need to release and that letting go, which for Taurus and the opposite, Scorpio, can be kind of difficult. They tend to like to hold on to what they know and sort of struggle to receive new information with adaptability and flexibility. So maybe this new moon is bringing some of that energy to you. We're gonna get into kind of the more specifics of how it's affecting you personally in just a minute. I have the piles on the table. Before we get to that, as always, I like to let you guys know that I have an astrology podcast that I co-host with my two close friends. The stars made me do it. I'll stick it right here for you. It's a really great, fun podcast that we talk about astrology in a casual, fun, but also really educational way. And so if you have thought about coming to private lessons with me to learn astrology, but you just can't seem to afford it right now, it's a really good free option to be able to educate yourself while having a little bit of fun as well. On top of that, we are getting so close to my 1,000 subscriber mark. If you don't know, I am doing a giveaway once I hit 1,000 subscribers. I am giving away 7 prizes. There's a video out to talk about what those prizes are. I'll stick it up here in the cards, so you can check that out after your reading if you're interested. But all you have to do to enter is subscribe to this channel, follow me on Instagram at mimys.me, and then just comment below to let me know you did those things. And then you'll be entered, and once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be announcing those 7 winners. And I might actually throw in a couple more because I have a few tarot decks that I want to give away, so maybe those will be the runner-up winners. All right, so now for your pile, we're going to be talking about the new moon in Taurus, which is happening on April 30th. So it'll be the second new moon of the month. We had the new moon in Aries on April 1st, so it's sort of, like I said, that astrological sandwich. If you follow my newsletter, then you know I called this month the astrological sandwich, which is such a Taurus moon thing to do. Essentially, we had the new moon at the beginning of the month and a new moon at the end of the month. So we're really dealing with all of this in between of letting go and release, even though we might really want to be holding on. So I do have your piles on the table. I'm just going to let you know what you're choosing from. I have these 3 teas that are from they're my business, they're my herbal tea blends. So this one is a Sweet Dreams, so good for right before you go to sleep. It's got mugwort in there, so it's really good for vivid dreaming and lucid dreaming if you're interested in that. I have this Be Divine tea, which I love to drink right before an important tarot session, just to really get you connected with that inner receptivity. And then I have this Bon Appetit because we love a good pun. It's good for digestion, good for getting your digestive system flowing, and also maybe for like increasing the appetite if you feel like you haven't been able to eat very much lately. That's a really good tea for that. All right, so pick your pile and let's get started. All right, so pile 1, you have got this Sweet Dreams tea. Pile 2, Be Divine. And pile 3, Bon Appetit. All right, pile 1, hello. We've got your Sweet Dreams tea here. Like I said earlier, it's really good for lucid dreaming, for vivid dreaming, but also really good for like a deep sleep, which I know those two things don't coincide very well, or they don't seem to, but for myself, my experience with this tea is that it sent me to sleep really quickly, which for me can be kind of difficult. And then it also like gives me nice vivid dreams, and I love dreaming. It's kind of like living in a whole other world. So that's your tea, and it's also got chamomile in there, so it's pretty gentle. So first things first, I want to see what this new moon in Taurus is bringing you. I am getting a really sudden urge of like not wanting to let go. Ooh, we've got the 9 of Cups, the 9 of Pentacles, and the Queen of Wands. Wow, okay. So we've got the 9 of Cups and the 9 of Pentacles, and then we've got this Queen of Wands. I almost feel like there's an urge to say like, no, I already know what I'm doing. And Taurus can tend to be kind of stubborn and it's like not always very good at receiving information and letting that information sit within. I know for myself and my personal experience with Taurus, if it's not their idea, they are not interested, kind of thing. And so I think this new moon in Taurus might be about letting go of that need to always be the one who's self-sufficient. Taurus loves to put in the hard work. So this new moon in Taurus is maybe asking you to put in the hard work in a different way. Yes, you are still yourself. You are still strong. You can still be confident. This is Aries here, so we're shifting from the Aries energy into the Taurus energy. You can still be this Queen of Wands, really confident, really self-sufficient, but that doesn't mean that you can't accept help from others. I almost see this Nine of Cups. I usually see it as such a merchant, a vendor who's very proud of what he has, but look at how many cups he still has. He's not selling them. So where can you be a little bit more open? Are you coming off as kind of standoffish? Are you coming across as stoic in a negative way, that you aren't very open to receiving other people? That keeps on coming up. And then we've got this Nine of Pentacles. I do my job and that's what I know how to do, so I continue to do it that way. I think this new moon in Taurus is about letting go of what you think you need or how you think you need to be moving forward. Maybe opening your mind a little bit, because this new moon is conjunct Uranus, which is sudden changes. It is just change in general, unexpected. And it is in the sign of Taurus, which is kind of immovable. It's kind of difficult to get moving and going and like motivated. Taurus likes to just sit and be, which these three cards all sort of show that to me. So where in your life are you allowing yourself to maybe be a little stagnant instead of receiving information from other people and letting yourself explore new possibilities? And I'm actually going to pull a couple cards. So I'm going to pull like 2, maybe 3 cards for where this could be showing up for you guys, because I know this is a general reading. Okay, well, this card is in here, so I feel like I have to. The Fool. I mean, it's sort of just showing up as a theme in your life. So not just in the area of life, but in your life. That maybe this is your general attitude towards movement and towards progress. I mean, that's wild that that card was in this deck. Like, that doesn't belong in here. So I think that's really interesting that your willingness to explore is what is sort of immovable. I feel like there's something beneath you that needs to be shaken up and needs to be stirred. And maybe you have Taurus placements, maybe you have some Earth placements, or maybe even some fire placements that need to be reactivated. Like your fire is being sort of watered down or like simmered down, where for you, this new moon in Taurus is really about, okay, how do I bring that passion back? How do I release my tendency to be immovable and explore? So for this area of life, it's more like who you are, the characteristics, the qualities that you take on. So let's see another area of life that this is showing up for you. Okay, the Three of Wands. I feel like this is almost like social life that's coming up, your personal relationships, maybe even like you're building a business or building something where you are the boss or you are in charge. Maybe you're self-employed or you are beginning some sort of business in that way, and you're in the planning stages. And so when you're in the planning stages of anything, maybe even in your social life, there's a need to be flexible, bringing flexibility to that. That these sticks are going to move, even as much as you tie them together with that red string, with that need to find security and stability, right? Red is the root. So you're tying these sticks together with that red string of, okay, this is it. You're putting all your eggs in that basket. It's almost about, okay, but what if it works out in a way that I didn't plan it? Right? So things can work out the way that you want them to, and they aren't exactly what you want. Whereas some things can work themselves out in the journey is very different from what you had expected or planned or wanted, but the actual destination is better than what you had imagined. So allowing yourself to be flexible through that, through your social circles, through your work life, if you're self-employed, letting yourself be flexible and going with the flow a little bit more might bring you more sales, might bring you more people, more revenue, more customers, more clients, right? More connection with other people. And connection is really what gets us all going. Like this Queen of Wands feels very much like you seek connection, but you also don't want to move too much, right? That you want to sit where you are and people come to you. So to gain a little bit of flexibility when it comes to that. And I think that takes a lot of self-honesty for you to say, okay, where am I being a little bit stubborn or a little stagnant or inflexible? So reflecting on that and then seeing, okay, I can let go of some of that. I can let go of some of that rigidity, that stoic nature, which Taurus can really, really like show. All right, so let's see, because it's the new moon, I like to think about, okay, the next 2 weeks, what is it that you're manifesting when it comes to moving towards the Scorpio full moon? What are we manifesting? Pile 1. Okay, well, this guy. The Empress. I love that. Ruled by Venus, ruled by Taurus. What are you manifesting? The ability to be creative and have success. The Empress is all about abundance, but also she's the one that creates that abundance. So she is hardworking, but she also likes the nice things. She likes the luxury. And so that's what we're working ourselves up to. Success through our creative endeavors. And how best can we manifest that? Lilu's going to bark in a minute. 4 of Wands. Through inspired action. I love that. Not just through putting in the hard work, not just through being diligent and decisive about the work that you put in, but making sure that the work you put in is inspired. It's active in your gut, in your soul, that you really know that this is what you want to do. I almost feel like these 9s here, the 9 of Cups and the 9 of Pentacles, they're doing their job. They're doing what they know they're supposed to do. But are they really in love with what they're doing? I mean, look at them. She looks like she's just putting in the work right now. To me, she doesn't really seem like she's enjoying herself. And Taurus loves to enjoy themselves archetypically. Like maybe you have Taurus placements and you're like, no, I just need to get the work done. But Taurus, as it is a very sensual sign. It likes its senses to be stimulated and it wants to feel pleasure. So allowing yourself to feel pleasure. What we're manifesting is pleasure. And how we're going to go about it is by doing the things that we love to do, because that's what's really going to bring us pleasure in a structured way, because 4 is a number of structure, of building, of the walls are putting here. We have a box. We can contain all of that inspiration to channel it or transmute it into something that is worthwhile and something that will be successful. So let's pull some of these tea leaf fortune cards. Let me know if you like these. I pull them out every now and then, and I haven't gotten too much feedback about them, but you let me know if you like these cards. Okay, we've got Arrow. You are on the right path regarding some aspect of your life. I like how vague that is, but at the same time, very reassuring. And I think that has to do with this 3 of Wands, like worries that you're planning, that you're putting your energy into the wrong place. So have that self-assuredness that this Queen of Wands has, that the Taurus energy has. Let's see, what else? Oh, there we go. Dark woman. Dealings or relationship with a woman with dark complexion or hair. All right. So that's sort of specific as well. So if that resonates with you, there you go. And last one, let's see what else we got. Target, a goal-oriented person. Yes, I definitely can feel that goal orientation showing up for you this new moon. Maybe you'll gain a little bit of drive, a little bit of motivation. I actually think that's really interesting considering you picked this Sweet Dreams tea, which is like, I need to calm down, I need to sleep better. And it's almost like you need to be doing the opposite. You need to be more active in a way. And if you feel like you're super active right now and that if you add more, it's going to be overactive, think about what is draining your energy. Are you putting in a lot of energy to something that you don't care about? If you're not passionate about it, it's going to be draining you. And so I almost feel like if you channel or direct your energy to the things that really keep you inspired, you're gonna sleep better at night because you'll have the more restored energy rather than like restless or anxious energy about, I'm gonna spend another day doing something that I don't really love or something that I'm not really passionate about. So I hope that reading was helpful for you. I really hope that this new moon gives you some like fire under your butt, which is funny because this is so not a fiery moon at all, but because it's conjunct Uranus, it feels like literally anything can happen, and we're really shaking up what we think is conventional and what we feel is traditional. So I'm sending you guys a lot of love, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. All right, pile 2. You chose this Be Divine tea. I love this tea. And I mean, I'm like biased because I'm the one that created it, but I think I love it so much. It's nettle based, so it's got stinging nettle as its base. It's very rooted, very earthy of an herb. So to me, what I love about nettle is it brings things up. It's really good as a decongestant because it brings up that phlegm, brings up gunk. And when I think of that in a more energetic sense, it brings up the emotional gunk or the spiritual gunk that needs to come up. I actually feel a little gunk in my heart right now. But then it also has the softness of rose petals. So you can see here, you've got nettle leaf, rose petals, a couple of other things as well. And so I think it helps with bringing up the gunk and then treating it in a gentle way with that rose petal, doing it out of self-love rather than out of forcefulness or out of anger. And Taurus is such a sign of self-care, of nurturing yourself, and of really indulging in those things that make you feel good, that give you pleasure. So we're going to pull some cards just on what this new moon in Taurus is bringing you. I'm starting off with the Ethereal Visions deck. Let's see. Got the Page of Cups. Let's see what else we got. Ooh, we've got Death and we've got the Well. So the Well is actually specific to this deck. I'm going to look at it for a little bit longer because I usually just go with like what I've always felt from the Well, but I feel like there's something special here today. It feels like what is these clouds? This fog is really giving me a specific kind of energy. It almost feels like somebody with like a white beard, like wisdom. It's actually giving me like King of Pentacles energy, which is like very secure. It's actually a Taurus card, a very secure in what you know, in what you have experienced. You have a well of experience underneath the surface. And you also have this Death card, which is a Scorpio card. So it almost feels like you're keeping a lot of things under the surface right now, and you're sort of being forced to reflect. You're being forced to look at yourself. The Page of Cups is literally reflecting and looking at her own emotions, her own emotional self. And so this new moon in Taurus can tend to contain things. It's very grounded, so it can come off as very much put together, knows what they're doing, they're fine. But internally, if they have that Scorpio-Taurus axis activated, then there's sort of that blend of, okay, I am fine, I am stable, I feel secure, but also I'm not really letting things come out. And that really speaks to like letting the gunk come out, right? So instead of holding it all in, if you're holding all that gunk, that bacteria, that phlegm, that nastiness within yourself, you're just hurting yourself more internally. Whereas if you let some of it out, if you express, or if you just like release some of that gunk as an act of self-love, as an act of self-care, then I think there's some really beautiful healing that can come from that. The ending of feeling like you don't know what you're doing when it comes to reflection, when it comes to maybe even your spirituality or in connection with yourself, right? Being able to really look at your feelings for what they are rather than your projections of fear. I feel like this new moon in Taurus is really an opportunity because new moons are cathartic. They are about a release, like almost an existential release. And with the eclipse, which even more so, that's really amplified. This new moon in Taurus could really activate that need to let go of some of the old stuff, right? The well runs deep. There's a lot going on beneath the surface. So letting yourself end the cycle of repression or end the cycle of holding it all together and seemingly, or being seemingly, what is the word that I'm looking for? It's like, I'm fine, like, don't worry about me kind of thing. Let people worry about you if they need to. And if they don't need to, take that as a sign of love, right? So people they care about you, letting people care about you rather than thinking of it as like pity or thinking of it as, like a means to like almost threaten your stability by saying, oh, I can see that you're struggling. Instead of taking that comment as a threat, take that as a sign that they care and they want to help. Because this new moon is giving you the opportunity to reflect and to be more connected to yourself on a more emotional or spiritual, mental level. But I also feel like with this Page of Cups, you're not new at this. You know what you're doing. You know how to do it. You know everything that you're feeling within. It's just a matter of vocalizing it, right? And that literal imagery of letting some of the gunk up, like rising it up as an act of self-love, self-care. I almost feel like the throat is really activated for you right now. Maybe you're feeling a little not nauseous, contagious? No, what is the freaking word? Congested. That's what I'm trying to think of. That there's some congestion in the chest and in the throat. So to let some of that up, honestly, like it's kind of wild you chose that Be Divine Tea, because it's a divine action to release some of that nastiness that you're holding within yourself. All right. So let's look at, I kind of wanted to look at what area of your life this is showing up in, which for you specifically, you can look at where Taurus is in your chart and you'll see where this is being kind of pulled out of you. Let's see, we've got the Two of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles. Wow, feeling worthy in your relationships, knowing your worth, right? Not letting other people determine your worth for you. And that Queen of Pentacles is so Taurus to me, just because she's like living in her abundance, right? And that idea of sensuality comes out again, right? Like she's nude, she's got these fuzzy rabbits, she's got plants around her, like she's living in the present moment in nature. And then you also have this Two of Cups, like a choice to remain connected to another person. Maybe this is in your romantic life, right? Maybe there's a person that you feel like you cannot let go of, and maybe this is actually the best time to let go of them, right? If you're kind of dealing with a breakup and you've been struggling to totally move on, maybe use this new moon as a really good time to let go completely, right? Letting go of how they determine your worthiness, right? You determine your worthiness. So maybe doing a burning ritual or like a flushing ritual, or maybe even a burying ritual where you write down all the things that you feel like they made you feel worthy. And instead of like identifying those things with them, to identify those things with yourself, that you determine that you are worthy, and then burying those little notes and knowing that they are in the earth forever, that they are beneath the surface. They don't need to come up again when you feel ready, right? If that's just like burying it again, just like repression style, then it's not exactly the healthiest way to go about it. All right, so I also want to look at what it is that we're manifesting, because the new moon is a great time to begin thinking about your manifestations, coming up to the full moon in Scorpio, which is May 16th, if anyone's interested. So we're going to look at what it is that you are manifesting. What are we going to begin to manifest? Ooh. Ooh. Okay, let's see. Yes, okay. You are manifesting a new chapter. We've got the Ace of Wands that fell out that last time. You got the 10 of Wands and you've got the 8 of Cups. Walking away from the notion that you have to carry all of the weight, that you have to put in all of the work, and that all the pressure is on you. Because I think a lot of that is your own unique self-expectation that not everybody else is putting on you. So stepping away from the emotional pressure that you put on yourself to have it all together. You had that 10 of Wands where you feel like you are at maxed out of all the things that you are putting on yourself to do. And it's okay to begin again. I feel like this Page of Cups, she is beginning again, and the pages are always the child of the tarot. Like they are naive but they're okay with the fact that they don't know everything, that they're moving forward into the unknown, right? It's sort of that adventurous attitude. So letting yourself start over in a way. Letting yourself start over and maybe not carrying all of the weight, maybe not putting all of the pressure on yourself to do everything. So let's pull some cards from the Tea Leaf Fortune cards. Let me know if you like this deck, because I pull from it every now and then, and I've never gotten feedback. So I'm just curious if you guys like this deck, if it's fun for you. Let me know. Let's see. I see this guy here. Beryl, you feel something is lacking in your life, perhaps love, money, or goals. That goals is really screaming to me. That you feel like you need to have not just a direction, but a destination that you're trying to reach. Oh, geez. You got well. Again, family wishes come true. Wow. So you got the well twice. And this well fell on top of this 8 of Cups. So it almost feels like stepping away from family stuff You know, maybe this isn't a breakup. Maybe this Queen of Pentacles and the Two of Cups is actually about the worthiness that you allow your family members to determine. But I think that's really interesting. And last one, mice, discord among friends or family. So maybe some family stuff is coming up, and I do see that, like, this death and the well card, like, these things really run deep. Maybe there's some generational behaviors that need to be cut off. So maybe that job lies with you. But remember, this 10 of Wands and the 8 of Cups, the job is not to fix it. Sometimes the job is to step away from it and realize it's not your job to fix it. All right, pile 2, I hope that was helpful for you. I'm sending you guys a lot of love, and I will see you next time. Bye. All right, pile 3, I've got your Bon Appetit, a little pun for my tea here. I love this guy. This is a slippery elm blend, which is an herb that you don't see around too much. Slippery elm is really fun. When it gets wet and after it's been brewed, it's kind of slippery. That literally is how it is. So it's a really good tea it's got a lot of roots, right? So it's a very rooted tea, and it's all about kind of getting into that digestive system and reinvigorating it, reactivating it so that you get movement going. There's a little bit of ginger in there to really bring energy to that system. And it's also helpful for kind of increasing your appetite. Not a ton, not in the way that like you're going to overindulge after drinking this tea, but if you're struggling with appetite, this is a nice little addition to whatever your already implemented routines are. So maybe there's something in your message about allowing yourself to indulge a little bit, or allowing yourself to, you know, getting into that root as well, like working on your root. So let's look at what this new moon in Taurus is going to be bringing you. I'm using the Ethereal Visions tarot deck. This deck was actually the first deck I ever got. It's the one that I learned tarot on, and I don't use it very often. So I'm kind of, I don't know, it feels like a little throwback. All right, we've got the 4 of Wands. No, that's too many. That's too many. This deck is actually acting a little funky. What's on the bottom here? The Knight of Swords, with the new moon in Taurus is bringing you, and the Hierophant. Sorry, I thought that was the Emperor at first. So first things first, you've got the 4 of Wands. These 3 cards are actually screaming to me, step out of the box. 4 of Wands is a container. It contains in a way that is inspired. So there's inspiration there. There's happiness, there's joy, there's celebration in the 4 of Wands. There's also containment and regulation. And Taurus can rule the traditional. The Hierophant is actually traditionally a Taurus card because it is about the organized religion aspect of it, that it's very organized and it's conventional. We follow the rules and it's kind of strict. And later on, I sort of feel like the Hierophant is very Sagittarian because it's about opening your mind to the divine. Whereas before, when the tarot was sort of invented, the divine or God or religion was sort of the norm. Whereas now it's, you know, it's sort of 50-50 or 75-25. Like it's not the norm anymore to a lot of people. And so it's actually more about like opening the mind and seeing what could be out there. So it feels like this 4 of Wands that's really about like containing maybe even your joy a little bit, like being stoic, like Taurus can be. And you've got this Knight of Swords, stepping out of your mental box. Like maybe you are restricting yourself mentally, and to really move and take action, maybe taking off the armor too. This Knight of Swords looks very well protected, and it feels like he's not going to be able to communicate, right? His words feel like his like weapons. So he's using the sword as a weapon, as a defense mechanism. So instead, when it comes to your mental state, not to be defensive right away, not to use your words as weapons, instead to let your words be a little bit more fluid and letting yourself be a little bit more fluid, right? Taurus can be it's very immovable at times. But it's also the energy of like goddess, of receptivity, of generation, of inward action. So maybe letting yourself use that creative energy of Taurus, that pleasurable, that sensual, and using your words and using your actions as not a threat, but instead as drive for progress. This new moon is conjunct Uranus, which is all about progress. It's kind of the rebellion And it's also in Taurus, which is of the conventional and of the traditional, of what we know to be true. It's the physical, the tangible, and Uranus is shaking it all up. So this new moon in Taurus, which is also an eclipse, is a really good time for you to let go of what you feel like you have been holding on to just because it's what you've always known, and instead open your mind a little bit. And I say your mind more than like your emotional self, because I feel like the mind is really being activated here. Like there's a lot of air placement here, or maybe like Taurus is in your 3rd, 7th, or 11th house. Like there's something about that air that's really being activated here. And so I want to see what area of your life this is showing up the most in. Like, how can we be more flexible when it comes to our minds? We've got the King of Swords. Yep. So maybe showing people who you really are under the cape, right? Above all of this, you're like not really showing people who you are, because maybe you're being a little defensive, or maybe being a little protective over the goods, over what you offer, over who you really are underneath it all, that you're showing them this gray, like just factual, logical self. But there's actually like this starry night beneath your cape, that you have so much more to offer, so much more depth, but you're being very closed off. So I feel like this is affecting your relationships the most, that you really need to let go of some of that defensiveness and maybe show some more vulnerability in your life. Let's see where else this is showing up. The Wheel of Fortune, yeah. This Wheel of Fortune I love, because it is about bearing your chest and just trusting what happens. Trusting the next stage, trusting the progress that occurs after this, right? She doesn't know what's happening. She doesn't know what's going to happen, but she just trusts that what's in her heart is going to happen, right? There's that trust there. And I love that both of these are sort of bearing their chest. She's a little more in a nude way, but for him, he's opening up his cape and he's showing who he really is. He's showing his true colors. Quite literally. So maybe letting yourself, I think this is really affecting you in your personal relationship. So if you're a Scorpio rising, that would make a lot of sense. Let me know if you are a Scorpio rising, because I'm curious. But it feels like this is affecting you the most in your relationships, about how you communicate. Are you being defensive? Are you not showing who you really are? And maybe it's time to let go of the habits that you've learned, of the communication styles that you've learned, maybe what you learned from your parents or from your grandparents, just from generations above you, because we do have the Hierophant, which is like this really old ancient wisdom. And it's so interesting. This white beard imagery is coming to me today. Like this, there's so much experience beneath the surface. And so I think that there's a lot of experience beneath the surface for you as well, but it's about sharing some of that experience, right? Letting yourself release some of what you have learned or experienced or who you are, so that then you can kind of feel refilled. Because I almost feel like there is this worry that if you let go of some of the things, now people can use that almost like against you. But not everybody is going to use information against you. In fact, some people actually feel closer to you and value you more because you will have shared a part of yourself where before they felt like you hadn't. And that's not to say that they are, they are the determining factor that you are valuable. But just to say, like, if you want to have some more close, like, personal relationships, there's an element of having to be a little bit more vulnerable and release some of the stuff, right? Let people in a little bit more. So I also want to look at what it is that we're manifesting, because we are moving up to the full moon. The new moon is on April 30th, and the full moon in Scorpio is on May 16th. So I kind of like to see the new moon in Taurus as, or the new moon, sorry, I really got distracted there. I will pull this card. So I like to see the new moon in anything as a good time to set your intentions of what you are manifesting for the next 2 weeks come the full moon in Scorpio. So we did have the Nine of Swords at the bottom of the deck. And I almost feel like this is what we are manifesting to release, like what we are working towards letting go of. And this Nine of Swords is kind of the nightmare card. It's all about your overactive mind. Maybe you're overthinking a lot, and it almost feels like that defensive nature again, that you're letting your your mind wander and spiral into places that are not reality, right? So where you think maybe people will use information against you, that actually is just the fear. And so for you, it's about stopping those cycles, right? Taking yourself out of that box, because that box really does restrict you and it contains your ability to be yourself around other people out of fear and out of worry. So instead, we're manifesting the release of that. Let's see, what else are we manifesting? Going up to the full moon in Scorpio. Okay, and this guy. Queen of Cups and the King of Cups. Love it. I love that. Yeah, moving from this sword energy, the air mental energy, into this cups water energy of letting yourself be a little bit more fluid, letting things be a little messy, which maybe is not the most comfortable for you. And again, that Scorpio Taurus axis feels really activated. Like I do feel like there are some Scorpio placements here that are feeling the Taurus energy right now pretty hard. And you'd be feeling the Scorpio energy too, because the South Node is in Scorpio, which means there's a lot of cathartic release, letting go, the death of some things. So I think you're really working towards manifestation of your release of the mental anguish and moving into more emotional security, emotional stability that you are able to offer yourself. It might feel messy. It might not be everybody's jam. Look at this Queen of Cups. She looks like a hot mess, but at the same time, she looks great because she is being herself and she's letting herself wear whatever the hell she wants. She's letting herself express herself. She's just being her. Actually, I think it's a dude too. You know, express yourself. Let yourself be fluid. I love this deck. This is the Love is Love Pride Tarot. You know, it's all about being inclusive when it comes to sexuality and gender norms and allowing fluidity to exist. That you don't have, and that white beard again is showing up. And in him, he's got this beard too. So it almost feels like these beards, like long-term work, right? Those beards don't take 1 week to grow. Those take a long time to really grow, maintain, allow to exist. So I feel like for you, this is like long-term work that you're doing here. And if you can't do it right now, that doesn't mean you can give up, right? You got to keep on going. All right, pile 3. I hope that was helpful for you. I'm sending you guys a lot of love. Let me know in the comments if that resonated or, you know, what's going on. I always love to hear from you guys. So I will see you next time. Bye.